in from Los Angeles this morning are giving us an idea of what actually happened last night. It was yet another night of violence on the streets of L.A. And the president, by the way, spoke just a little while ago this morning from the White House saying if it wasn't for the actions that he had taken in terms of sending in the National Guard and sending in the Marines, that L.A., he said, would be burning right now. But that is what's happened. And we have some of these latest pictures. And it appeared, that for the most part, law enforcement, along with National Guardsmen, but then you see right there, for example, somebody throws what would appear to be like a Molotov cocktail or some sort of a firework aimed directly at them. Police, of course, had their assets on the ground. There's another burning vehicle. And so the head of the Marine Corps says the battalion is in L.A. and is ready to respond, but hasn't engaged yet. We do believe that they will be on the ground tonight. And you've got the president defending his decision to go ahead and kind of nationalize the fight. Now, he's getting plenty of pushback and an argument from both the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be live with Fox reporter who's right there in downtown L.A. with the latest developments, which is all the looting that was happening last night as well. And then you probably have heard some of the developments regarding the Waymo cars that were set on fire, and our Skyfox over there in Los Angeles was hovering overhead. So now Waymo is saying, look, we are going to start discontinuing service either in areas that have seen violence or areas that we are worried will see violence. So they're going to still operate in parts of Los Angeles County, but they're not going to, the cars will not, I guess they can program them to, it's almost like being geofenced and not get into downtown LA. They are also saying that they're going to do some limiting of the geographic areas even here in the Valley, even though we've seen nothing like that in our downtown area. But they're not going to provide service as more of a preemptive measure in the downtown Phoenix area. So all of that is happening. And our poll question is as follows. What is your take on all of this? Right now, 28% of you think the president is overreacting by sending in the Marines and the National Guard. Basically saying he's escalating it. 70% though are saying, no, if you look at the pictures of the looting now, cars being burned to a crisp, it's not an overreaction. Your third option, you can grab that QR code, is he should have waited longer to see if maybe LAPD or other local law enforcement, sheriff's office, etc., might have been able to actually solve the situation. So we will update you. We want your comments, that's for sure. But now at 10:04, look at this, what I call sort of an all-star lineup. I don't think I'm overselling it. Because Syleste is here, and so is
Ron,
George.
Thank you. Yes, he is. I was just going to go with George on this.
I'm just a side piece on all of this. Yes, thank you.
You know what? The side piece actually makes the situation spark. So
I thought George was going to quote an old favorite song of mine. I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm glad you went with side piece.
There'll be no singing this morning. No.
Okay. Well, George, every day it seems like there's some new twists and turns. And once again, you and Justin, we have a big audience that are watching on YouTube, on your feed, and then they join us as well. So can you give us the latest of what transpired yesterday in court? I mean, there were hours and hours worth of testimony and cross-examination, et cetera. What were your big takeaways?
Well, I think in the timeline of this case, we've now gotten to the point where they've established there's a Jeep. The Jeep belonged to Lori Vallow and her family, more specifically her teenage daughter's Jeep. This is the same Jeep that was used in the shooting and the attempted murder, if you will, of Brandon Boudreaux. So the jury now has established, or it's been established, that this is the same green Jeep that was used and that was seen in the neighborhood at the time of the shooting. It's also the same Jeep that law enforcement was able to track coming from Idaho to the Phoenix metro area in about 24 hours before the shooting.
I like to try to match the video with some of our commentary. Who was this lady and what was her level of expertise?
So this is a former Mesa police officer who was one of the people who responded to the scene on the day of the shooting. She is a longtime veteran with the Mesa Police, with the Gilbert Police Department. She's retired now, but she basically said, look, I was there. I talked to Brandon Boudreaux. She described Brandon's demeanor, but more specifically,
right on scene, right at the time.
Yeah, okay. She was one of the officers that was there. And, one of the key questions was, what did you guys talk about? And specifically, when you guys asked Brandon that morning, when they were like, look, Brandon, do you have any idea who you think would want to kill you? And he was very specific. He even said it in his testimony on day one of this trial, but she backed it up. And she said, look, he told us, yes, he had two names, and that was Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. Now, the jury is not allowed to hear much more than his reasoning why he thought those two would want to kill him. We know the reason is because earlier that summer in 2019 was when Lori's her previous husband, Charles, was shot and killed by Alex. Mm-hmm. So Brandon was like, well, yeah, I kind of know because my ex-wife's aunt, Lori, was involved in a shooting where her husband was shot and killed by her brother.
Now, Syleste, I know you're interacting with folks online right now. Are you seeing some comments or any questions? You guys can certainly join in this morning if you've got questions for George.
Well, I think a lot of people are wondering right now as some of these questions are pouring in is how long do you think this is going to go? Because she's already been found guilty in Idaho, right? Mm-hmm. She's got to go back there.
Yeah, ultimately, no matter what happens here, she will go back to Idaho, spend the rest of her life in prison there. So based on how we've watched the trial, Lum and I have kind of following kind of the pace of this trial. Mm-hmm. The state has gone through 14 of their witnesses so far. They had 22. So it is not out of the realm of possibility the state could rest their case by the end of the week.
Would there be any downside whatsoever to Lori actually taking the stand in her own defense?
I guess
considering everything else that's happened in courts of law over the last year and a half.
Well, if I was a lawyer and I put my lawyer hat on and a defense attorney hat, I would say, there would be a lot to lose. In the bigger picture, obviously, she has nothing to lose. She has pretty much lost everything anyway. So outside of if the victims' families, right? We know Brandon's been in court every day. Kay Woodcock, which is JJ's aunt, has been in court every day. Unless she were to say something on the stand that would pour more salt into their wounds, I truly believe they want to hear her take the stand. Finally, she has chosen not to in her previous trials. I would think that they would want to hear from her in some capacity. But again, as a lawyer and as if we were her own attorney, I would think that, she has nothing to gain by going on the stand.
Does she have anything to lose, though? I mean, now that she's going to have to go back to Idaho and spend time in prison there.
She almost seems like somebody who would want her one chance. This is her last chance. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
She wants to attempt to try to tell any part of her side of the story.
Yeah.
And you open yourself up to cross-examination from the state. That, I think, is where, if you're Lori, you have something to lose because they are prepared. There have been 4 prosecutors in all these trials that would love the opportunity to grill Lori on this. I think that, from Lori's perspective, you do lose some of that because, in theory, you could say that the prosecution is going to go hard after you,
right,
and put you in a position you don't want to be in.
Then, though, does it get, and I don't mean to make light of the situation, but if she's on, let's say she hypothetically takes the stand and she, representing herself, objects to what the prosecution is saying, then does she say objection to what they're saying while she's in the witness?
No, her legal counsel would be responsible for doing that. They obviously have to pre-script their line of questions, and then they would be the ones to object to anything that was said in cross. Mm-hmm. Again, Trina Kay, the prosecutor in this case, is a veteran. She knows what she's doing. I don't know that she would allow herself to fall into that, but who knows? I mean, again, her legal counsel is just there as advisors.
Right.
But again, maybe she has nothing to lose. Maybe this is what she wants. We kind of get the sense from her, or we have over the years of covering her, she does crave this spotlight. But this is a different kind, right? You're putting yourself up there. You're exposing yourself. And
it's a good point.
If you assume the jury has already made their minds up at this point, then maybe your mindset is, well, whatever, let me just get on the stand and say what I have to say and go right back to Idaho.
We do have one last question, Ron, if you don't mind. Somebody from the chat. Somebody says that this are taxpayers' money paying for this court case?
Yeah, like anything else. Yeah.
You know, and they're saying, well, this is a lot of money that is being spent.
And I think that's a discussion that we've had with our panel during the lunch break. Ultimately, though, I think this is really for the victim in this case, which is Brandon. He's the only surviving victim, right? And so there was questions about whether we should even do this trial. Is this even worth it? Because we know she's going back to Idaho no matter what. I think from Brandon's perspective, it's almost owed to him to get justice, because if you follow this case, you know he was instrumental in bringing more attention to this saga, right? This all happened in October of 2019. At this point, there were a number of law enforcement agencies who were aware of the saga, but they hadn't started to piece it together until late October into November. Then you guys get in December, and then of course January is when everything blew up, when they couldn't find the kids. Lori had already been to Hawaii, was refusing to tell anybody where her kids were. Brandon was one of the few, Kay Woodcock being the other, who really kind of helped piece this together for law enforcement. And, I think it's owed to him to at least get justice for the attempt on his life.
Well, if there are already 14 names down the list of witnesses with a total of 22, at this pace, it could be at least on their side, unless she's got some great plan now, for weeks worth of a defense, where that could wrap up within the next few days. All right, George, we're out of time. We are going to take a break. Always appreciate your perspective on things.
See you, George.
Yeah, you
and
too.
folks can go right over to our other YouTube stream and watch as the day goes on.
Thank you.
Okay. Syleste, we have a kind of an interesting mystery cam today, popping it up for everybody at home.
It's green.
Sure it is. I feel like somebody needs to clear out some weeds. What's going on? Now, that's a kind of a middle-sized city, right? You got maybe one building 20 stories tall.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Ronnie. Thanks, Ronnie. Welcome back, everyone.
Hey, yeah, as a matter of fact, we go to the mystery cam once again. And Syleste, boy, I don't know on this one. Because, I'm looking, you said Albuquerque, but there's usually a lot of mountains around Albuquerque. So I can't go.
We've got some good guesses in the chat box.
Okay, what do you
All
got?
Right, we've got B. Miguel and says Kentucky. Louis Gonzalez, he's going to go Texas or New Mexico. You got to pick one, though.
Yeah.
Louis.
I like Texas. I could see that being like a Lubbock.
Yeah. I almost worked in Lubbock. That could be Lubbock.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that story.
Texas from
I'm glad it didn't work out.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay.
Me too.
All right. So I'm going to go Texas.
Louisiana says Lisa Dinsmore.
Okay.
Jen's Wall said nice boots. I think she saw the image of the boots.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
Okay,
that's very
here she
far
is
away.
on
Here's
the answer to the mystery cam at 10:16.
Oh, Midland, Texas.
Okay.
Nice work, you guys.
Thank you.
Patricia Randolph said Midland. She won today.
I love Star. Oh, she actually guessed actual Midland.
She did.
I was a
wonder
little
if you're
off
from
with
there.
Lubbock, but hey, that's just great.
Nice work.
Okay, so we welcome you back. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about this morning just in terms of some of the news that's been breaking over the last 24 hours. We had the images for you earlier from Los Angeles, more violence last night, but now there's a new twist to what has been happening, and that has to do with all of the looting that's been going on. So we are going to check in with our Gigi Grassetti, who is literally right there in LA, I think all set and ready to go. And so, Gigi, if you can hear me, it's Ron and Syleste in Phoenix. What are you learning about the looting that's been going on there in your area?
If possible.
Yeah. Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, Gigi, Ron and Syleste in Phoenix.
Ron and Syleste, is there any way you can raise your volume?
Yeah, sure. Okay, we're going to work on that, Syleste, for just a second. And then we'll bring Gigi back in. So
that is a request we rarely get, to raise our volume.
By the way, the poll question looks like this: 21% say the president is escalating the situation, and 78% say no if you see the looting and the cars burning. And that's part of the story today, is this kind of this new twist of what's going on. So I think we have Gigi now all set.
Let's see if she can hear us, maybe.
And ready to go from LA. Gigi, what are you learning about these reports of looting going on now?
Oh my gosh, we have been to so many businesses all day long. We're in downtown Los Angeles, so hello Phoenix from LA. This is a business, high-end and exclusive designer tennis shoes and athletic shoes. It's called Shoe Palace 93 right here in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. This is one of many businesses that was looted. This custom-made door, I'm told, cost $75,000. They broke right through it just to board up this business. To give you an idea, $2,500. And come over, photographer Carlos Jacinto. You can see inside they looted the entire store. No word yet on a dollar amount. They're still going through inventory, trying to determine exactly what was taken by about 40 looters. And I'm told they were caught on camera. That video has been turned over to the LAPD. And as I mentioned, this is just one of many businesses. We're talking about big corporate businesses like CVS Pharmacy. You probably have those in Phoenix, the Adidas store, the Apple store. But then there are the mom and pop businesses, small jewelry stores that are owned by families that have been in downtown LA for decades. We met one business owner today. No insurance. That jewelry mart was absolutely destroyed. Display case after display case just shattered. And you know the sad thing is, I was told that a lot of the shattered display cases had nothing in them. So they were just shattered just because. It wasn't like they were trying to steal something that was inside them. They were actually empty. And that is what we have seen all morning long here after this day. And according to law enforcement sources, they don't believe that these people are necessarily protesters. It seems to be a splinter group of people that are taking advantage of all the chaos, all the attention focused on the protesters just to cause, well, a lot of destruction, and a lot of businesses are going to have to foot the bill for this.
You know, Gigi, for a lot of these businesses, what do they have to do now? Are they closing up shop? Like, what are you hearing from community members in terms of protecting themselves moving forward?
Well, the LAPD, I think I heard your question, but the LAPD is asking all these business owners to be sure, A, to report to them what happened so they can have a running total of all the businesses affected. And now it's cleanup. A lot of these businesses will be closed and out of business until further notice. The folks at the Jewelry Mart, that family-owned business, tell me they'll probably be out of business for at least a week. So not only do they have to spend thousands of dollars repairing the damage done by the looters, they have to get new inventory that was stolen, and then they have to be closed while the repairs are made, like to those display cases. And again, you've got big businesses. At CVS, every single window and door glass was shattered. Every single one of them.
Gigi.
So that's going to be a huge bill, and they're closed now until further notice.
Yeah, and we actually have some of the video coming in from the downtown area last night. Have you been able to kind of fix the location in your mind in terms of where the looters struck vis-a-vis where the main protests were happening?
I'm so sorry. It is so loud here on the street here in downtown Los Angeles. It's a little hard to hear your questions. Let's try one more time, maybe.
All right, let me try it one more time. In terms of where the looting happened, how close is that to where the protests were happening?
Well, you know, downtown Los Angeles is relatively small, so literally they're blocks away. And these streets were hit extremely hard, but we're less than half a mile away where the concentration of the protests were. Those were outside LAPD and outside the federal buildings, the Metropolitan Detention Center, where we believe a lot of the folks that have been rounded up by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, are being held, and that's where the protesters are focused. That's actually where the National Guard is also staged.
All right, we sure appreciate your time. That's Gigi Gracieta, who is joining us from Fox in L.A., and it's just one more bad twist to this story. We've had the violence, maybe not a shock, but now we've got the looting, Celeste.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking. Gigi, thank you so much. Great job there in Los Angeles. You know, speaking of looting during COVID, you recall, welcome to Fire Captain Dave Folio. Dave, good morning, Scottsdale Fire Department. We had that during COVID.
Yeah, that's
after
right.
the looting, you all really had to respond. I remember at Scottsdale Fashion Square watching it. I think it was like a Saturday night, and officers on horseback.
Yeah, and we put up extra manpower in all of our Scottsdale quarter and those type of places, but hopefully that stays out of Arizona right now.
Well,
Let's hope.
it seems like they really nipped it in the bud. I mean, I know you're fire, and that's law enforcement with police, but it seems like they nipped it in the bud fast here. Sometimes it doesn't work that way over in California.
Yeah, absolutely.
So true. Good to see you.
So we've
Thank
got
you
other
for coming
things on
in.
our mind, though.
Yes,
Heat,
we do.
hiking, and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we
Well, okay, so the latest pictures of what turned out to be a really busy day yesterday, primarily up on Camelback, but of course, you know, there are all kinds of mountain trails. Take a look at this gal right here. I mean, you can see she's getting there on the big wheel stretcher.
Yeah.
And she had to bring her down off Camelback. And the thing that I just hope that people understand, Dave, is how serious it is. We had 4 people who needed rescue. One of them may not make it. One of the 4 is in critical condition in the hospital.
Yeah. So, and also this past weekend, we had a 38-year-old male who hikes the trail quite often, and 1 in the afternoon when it's 105 degrees out, he's 4.5 miles in on our trail system. So that also dispatched our automatic aid system, which you see on the screen now. It's a well-coordinated response, multiple agencies. Our technical rescue crews are some of the best in the world, believe it or not. Like, I'm just saying the world, not just United States. They go all over the world and train. We train with them. So Scottsdale was there also yesterday. It's 101 degrees at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and you've got 4 people that are on the trail, and it's a common theme now. Here's what we're seeing. They don't have a plan. They have charged cell phones. They started early, but they don't have a plan to get off the trail. You need to start early and get off the trail early. And you need to bring plenty of water with you, and that hydration starts the night before. So this thing turns into peer pressure. It's adult peer pressure is all it is. Oh, let's see how far we can push you. It's a mom's group from out of town.
No.
Let's try and go this extra mile. The pictures are going to be great up there. We'll get extra followers when we post it on our social media. So that's what we're seeing, unfortunately. Everybody wants to get that great picture for their social media.
You know, speaking of social media, maybe just to follow up in terms of any additional info you could share with us regarding that heartbreaking story of the social media influencer who I think was on the Tom's Thumb Trail.
Yeah, and the
correct?
same thing. It's off a gateway. And what you see is they're posting in the middle of the day, right? So what they don't realize is they've got the charged cell phone, but now they're posting and it's over 100 degrees, and that phone dies from the heat. So you can't get out on your phone because it overheats, right? We've all had that where we're out. Temperature, and you got to wait for it to recharge, and you can't get out of the elements when you're out there. There's no shade. You're not up in the high country.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a cactus you can hide behind for a couple of seconds. That's it. And if you haven't brought enough water, so reportedly avid hiker, don't know the result of the examiner's result on the death.
Do you recall how far off trail? My understanding was she had wandered off the trail.
Yeah,
a
so
little,
and that's
right?
really important because the reports where they found her like 500 yards off the trail. But when heat exhaustion sets in, you're dizzy, you're confused, and heat stroke sets in, you're disoriented. Now it turns into heat stroke where you're over 104 degrees like you saw yesterday. They're having to cool the body. Your organs start to shut down. Your mind doesn't operate right. So you can get into trouble real quick on these trails, and that's what people don't understand. You have to have a plan, and you have to know your limits.
And I think people see, I'm glad you mentioned social media. They see a lot of these pictures about Camelback Mountain, and you think, oh, it's in the center of town, and you're looking at it, and it doesn't look that big maybe to you. But that's an expert hike.
Yeah,
There's
that's
like
a double
bouldering.
diamond. When you actually walk up, so the conversation has been, why don't we close our trails, right? Phoenix closes Paiasqua, Camelback, 1.4 mile trails, some of South Mountain. They don't close all of them. But believe it or not, that actually helps us that they've put that out there that they close them, because people have this false sense that all of them are closed. Really hard to close down our trails because you have so many access points from the neighborhoods, other areas. If we shut the gate, people go around the gate. It's a misperception that they're closed. We would rather educate you at the gateway trail, Tom's Thumb, we have what we called stewards there. They educate you. This morning we're there doing a report, and there's 2 kids walking in with their mom, no water. So they'll, hey, what you're going to have to have water. Wear appropriate shoes. Have a charge and stay. And if you get into trouble, stay on the trail. Don't get off the trail. This 38-year-old we had the other day, he had a charged cell phone. We can ping your phone when you call, so we know you're.
Warren, Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is about Pennsylvania, but boy, oh boy. I mean, they got some beautiful, historic-looking towns, and that looks like a pretty nice day in that community.
It's so pretty. Look at the water and the whole the little quarter, Ron. It makes
Yes.
me feel like we're like in the early 1800s, or maybe right in the
Sure.
Declaration of Independence.
Right? If it weren't for all those modern SUVs there, you could expect to see a Thomas Jefferson or a John Adams walking out of the woods.
I'm sure John Adams would be like, "What is a Waymo?"
Yeah, for sure. Hey, there's a story that's sure got us talking this morning. It has to do with the reopening, the grand reopening
Oh, boy.
of this controversial slide. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because, I'm sure you watched people come down before. And so you got to know the risks. I mean, there's got to be some tailbone exposure.
Absolutely.
Going
There's no
on here?
cushion back there.
Yeah. Oh, I do like the gal on the left who just decided maybe I'm not even going. But guess what? Oh, here, now she's going to take her chance. Let's see how it works out for her. Oh, it was that last one. Oh, she seems to be just fine. I love that the cushion at the end is a chain link fence. Did you see that? I mean, if you survive the slide, the chain link fence is about, 20 feet away from where you come to a stop? Not even 20 feet.
I mean,
Probably
this is
more like
serious business.
5 or 10.
There's a guy in like a dress shirt and a
Dangerous.
tie there.
All right. So here it is. It's Belle Island, Michigan. It was supposed to open up for the season a couple of weeks ago, but the state delayed its opening, just inspecting. They wanted some finishing touches. This is the same slide that got all that talk, believe it or not, 3 years ago, because folks felt like, oh, gosh, it's kind of dangerous. I don't really know if they've made any major adjustments or not. But look, there's a smart reporter over there to the right.
Yeah, she's
She's
hanging
like,
on.
I'm going to stay over here. Now, here's the beauty of the whole situation. And this is a heads up to our friends at Disneyland. It's $1.
This is $1.
This slide, it's $1 to ride this slide.
Well, it's because you're going to need the extra 39 to go to urgent care.
go to
after
the
you-
doctors.
after you end up on your bum.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's just like, look, you signed up for it. You kind of knew what was coming. At least they give these folks a few seconds to get out of the way before the next, riders hit
B.
there.
Miguel says it reminds him of the state fair. There must be something like
yeah,
this.
it
There
feels
is a
like
state
it.
fair.
That's for sure. I think I would ride it. I don't know about you guys, but Isabella joins us. Would you ride that, Isabella?
I would pass.
You would pass.
I would.
Celeste? Settle this now between Isabella and me. Would
I
you
would
ride
go.
this? Would you? Okay, good.
Yeah, I would wear a helmet
Okay.
and maybe
good.
some slider pants that you wear like when you play
Sure.
baseball or softball.
Yeah.
You know, it had
Like
the padding
with
in it.
a lot of padding in the pants. Something like that. Okay, so we always appreciate when Isabella is able to join in.
Hi,
And
Isabella.
what about this
Hi.
story, you guys, of the Walmart customer who called the cops on himself?
Okay.
So here it is in a nutshell. There's an employee who goes to talk about it on Reddit, and he says that the customer was the one who called the police after he accidentally overcharged himself for avocados. So he was at the self-checkout, which I've already said I'm not a big fan of the self-checkout.
Okay.
I know these stores are trying to save a buck here or two, but come on. I still like having somebody to check me out.
Yeah, you want
Yeah.
to say hi to somebody.
Somebody. But so this guy thought, okay, so here's in a nutshell.
So he overcharged himself for
Yeah.
avocados.
Yeah. So this commentator on Reddit told the story of a guy came up with a bunch of stuff, claimed that an item on the shelf that was saying $9.99 kept showing up at the register at $19.99.
Oh.
A team leader, that's what you call the people at Walmart or other grocery stores who come over and they put their little badge in, and got it fixed. But it kept happening, and the guy got more and more mad, Isabella. I know you were kind of looking into the story as well. And finally, he was so outraged, he called the police. But when the police got there, they're like, you know what? They're trying to fix this for you. You need to settle down,
Right.
which he wouldn't, and he ends up in handcuffs.
Oh my gosh, over avocados?
He really wanted to go home and make guacamole. That's what he wanted to do.
Right? Yeah. What do you think about the whole self-checkout thing? Has the horse already left the barn? Is there a chance that somebody actually, wait a sec. Target came out and said, we're tired of people ripping us off, acting like they're, paying for everything, and out the door they go.
Well,
so
they
they're
have
going to
cameras
go
now.
with more checkers.
they
That's
all
the
have
right
cameras.
trend, I think. But
I'm with
what do you
you.
think?
I think it's helpful when they do have the floor directors, but if it's a busy Target, there's 10, 15 self-checkouts and there's only one person.
Right.
I've been in situations where I'm in a rush and I really need to go, but I need a floor leader to
Right.
check something for me.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I'm still waiting. My thing's blinking.
And he's trying to swipe the badge like
Yeah.
3 times, and you're like, we gotta go.
And then you have people who are probably, they're going through the self-checkout. They've got, it says 15 items or less, and they've got
Right.
30.
Yep.
Right?
And so you're like, hold on a second.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of these stores, I like the fact, I feel like when I'm at Bashas', I feel like they have plenty of checkers.
Yes.
Safeway, I got a Safeway in my neighborhood. Usually there's maybe 1 or 2 check stands
that's
open.
all.
Most of the rest
Interesting.
are the automated version. I feel like Fry's maybe has more checkers. I know Walmart, I go to Walmart, and they hardly have any anymore.
Wow. What's your favorite grocery store, Ron?
Well, it depends what item you're talking about.
It's
Celeste.
donuts at
How much time
Bash's.
It's
do we have?
donuts at Bashas'.
Yes.
It's the fresh fruit and veggies at Safeway.
Okay.
Overall items, the Fry's has a bunch of great stuff.
What about Sprouts?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Sprouts, local
Sprouts.
success story.
Okay, Trader Joe's. Whole Foods, Ron. You look like a Whole
We don't-
Foods kind of guy.
No, I don't. I'm
The
way
coffee
more,
bar at Whole
I'm
Foods, the
way more
smoothies.
Walmart than either one of those two. My wife took me into a Trader Joe's once, but
Wow.
actually it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going
No,
to be.
it's not.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just like you're feeding yourself or
Yeah.
feeding a smaller group of people.
But I have
Pretty
been inside a
affordable,
Whole Foods. I have seen those prices, and it's been years, many years. All right, since we're talking about spending, I can't wait to pop up. We've been promising everybody that we were going to show you the top items that's really truly on Dad's spending or Dad's gift list. About $24 billion is what they're expecting to spend this year. And you know what? I almost misread it at first when I took a look at it, because it said greeting card and I thought it meant gift card. The number one thing that Dad wants is a heartfelt greeting card.
Really?
Not a text. Do not text your father with, hey, what's up? Happy Father's Day. Hope it's a great one for you.
Hey, bruh.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Correct. That is not, that's the number one thing we dads want. We're simple creatures.
What about like a homemade card?
Oh, even
better. Right,
better.
Isabella? Don't
Yeah.
you think? I
Even
think
better.
dads
yeah.
love homemade cards.
I made my mom a homemade kind of a card, but I was taking a photography class when I was young in school. And it was this little bunny rabbit that was hopping
Yes.
around our yard up there in Wenatchee. And she held on to that, I bet, for 30 years.
Oh,
That's so
And I
sweet.
thought,
really
well, I guess
sweet.
because it was handmade and all the
Yeah,
rest.
absolutely. And sometimes I think like if you have a loss for words, I mean, ChatGPT is our helper now. Go to ChatGPT
really?
and just say, "What's a beautiful saying for a Father's Day
Did you just
card?"
try this, Celeste?
I'm gonna
Are you
try it right now.
Celeste is going to conduct an experiment. Anyway, closer number 2, a T-shirt or a hoodie. I love number 3, a special outing. Let's go out for a meal. But for once, Dad doesn't have to pay for it. Or go to a ball game or some kind of an activity. I don't know, go bowling or go out to that new amusement park out there in Queen Creek. What's it called? Oh, Pecan Lake.
Pecan, like that's very fancy. It's
Yeah.
very nice.
And then this is actually what I asked for, you guys, is they're getting a new Barnes & Noble in Queen Creek.
Oh, very
I
nice.
live in East Mesa, but, we go to Queen Creek a fair amount.
It's so close.
They're getting a brand new one in what used to be the Joann's store.
So Ron, let me ask you: if you were to get a Father's Day, and I threw this up in the chat,
All right,
what are
this will
your
be good.
thoughts on Father's Day? What type of card would you want? Heartfelt and sincere, light and warm, a funny, a short and sweet, or for a new dad? What type of card would you like, Ron?
I would like the handmade kind. I
Handmade,
think.
but what type of saying? You want a funny saying?
Oh,
so
is this?
like,
Is
if
this?
you're, if you're making your own card.
Are you segueing into the Chat GPT?
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
what's it
Thank
gonna?
you,
What's it saying for the old Hooner?
It says, Happy Father's Day to the man who taught me everything except how to fix the sink without swearing.
That's great.
But that would never be you.
I try not.
Isabella, do you want to read the one that says light and warm?
Oh, this will be good.
This
Okay.
one says,
All right.
thanks for all the laughs, the lessons, and the love. I'm lucky to have you as my dad. Happy Father's Day.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
see?
Why don't you? Did you already send your dad his card for this year yet? Why
Not
don't you
yet.
Why don't you jot that down?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll write it from the heart. I don't need ChatGPT.
I got to be careful because your mom's watching.
Yes.
And
Right.
your dad might be too.
Yes.
Hey, one more story. Well, when it comes to dads, this is our dad segment here as we get closer to the big day, Father's Day. There's a new study out. It was Syleste Story of the Day that says what dad eats when he's younger plays a role in the diet of his kids. If they're more likely to eat the healthy fruits and veggies, then they more likely are going to introduce their kids at some point to the healthier food. Now, do you buy this or not? Are you
know.
what your dad ate or not?
I don't think so, Isabella. I don't know if I'd go with this.
I don't agree. I don't
Okay,
think
why?
so.
Why?
Well, my dad, he grew up eating very like vanilla, and my mom, she's Filipino, so she has us eating a lot of seafoods. I mean, all the stuff. And
Okay,
so
yeah.
even though my dad didn't eat that growing up,
Right.
me and all my siblings, we have a very strong and wide palate. So
Okay.
that's an interesting study,
So
but I don't
that's
think it
really
applies
more
to me.
mom's influence. How about
Yes.
you, Celeste?
I think so too. It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because tamales and enchiladas and tacos and burritos.
Well, what about Dad?
I mean, Dad eats
Was
those
he a
things
burger
too.
guy kind of
yeah,
more?
Yeah, he's kind of
Okay.
a chicken guy,
Yes.
burger guy.
Okay.
You know, and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I love chicken and a good burger.
I know. So every night when I was DJing back in the 70s, there was a late night burger place in Spokane called Dick's Burgers. They're up
Yes.
there in Seattle too. I'm sure you've been a few
Oh,
times.
so many times.
But you know, you could get. I don't think it was that healthy of a sandwich, but boy, was it tasty! And they were like 29 cents back in the day. I'm a burger guy. My dad was one of the healthiest eaters. He and mom had this huge garden, fresh corn, fresh tomatoes, fresh blueberries,
yum.
and I never really picked up on it. So I am not on board with this study either.
Yeah,
Well, there
so
you
we're going
go.
to debunk it. How much money they waste on this study? Would they pay
Yeah,
the
right?
researchers?
You know who the three of us are? We're the debunkers.
The Fox 10 Talks debunker.
Yeah.
FTT debunking.
Oh, put that on the new shirt.
Okay, good. Right, the new shirt. We're the debunkers. We came up with a slogan. Be sure to tell Big D, Big
Yes.
Dave.
I
All
want
right.
it on the merch.
Thank you, Isabella.
Thank
Back
you.
in 2 minutes. And you are looking live at Wilmington, North Carolina. Shaping up, it looks like, to be a cloudy day, maybe in the afternoon. A few thunderstorms would be a possibility. Anyhow, we welcome you back. This is Fox 10 Talks, and to all of our audience around the world, thanks for discovering us. Be sure to hit a like and a subscribe. I think maybe we don't mention that often enough, but we call this the friendliest chat on the internet, and Syleste now is going to tell us why.
Well, when we do have spammers,
occasionally
we welcome them.
We do?
As long as they're not spamming.
Okay.
But we did throw this out there. What does Dad want for Father's Day?
Oh,
We got
this would
some
be
great
good.
guesses
Okay.
from people. So Frankie D said a cookout. He wants a barbecue. It's going to
Yeah.
be 1:14, so make sure that cookout is either after 4 p.m. or before noon, my friend, on Sunday. Jen's Wall, our thoughts and prayers are with you, my sister. She said 3rd year without her father, so it's a tough day for her. And also, Lil Philosophy said he heard they have a D-backs polo on Father's Day. The
Yeah.
D-backs always do something really cool for Father's Day.
Yeah.
Nala Chitos says carne asada and a hat, a card and a big hug from Johnny's. And of course, we're hearing as well that you guys just want a hug. Just want to hear, you love us and you love Dad, and he wants a big hug. And
I
a
think
card.
I'd still rather have the Barnes & Noble gift certificate. I mean, I've been asking for it for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh!
So I
Ron,
can't change. Now I can't appear to be wishy-washy.
What did their face look like? Did they hear you and understand what your demand was?
Oh, it's only because there's excitement about the new Queen Creek
Yes.
Barnes & Noble. I don't know how much longer I got to wait for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is always a treat whenever it works out the right way. Richard Signs. Of course, he's one of our favorite guests here on the streaming show. And Syleste, I got to tell you, there's, I think, some growing excitement about the new look of the Phoenix Suns. And Richard joins us right now. Richard, why is this a big day for the Suns?
Well, it's the start of a new chapter. But first of all, I just want to ask, am I now a debunker if I'm on the show? Because I want to be a cool kid. I've always wanted to be a debunker.
All right, you
So
are
I guess now I'm
officially a debunker.
You're an automatic,
You're
yes.
a debunker. Yeah. Okay, so
That's great.
tell
But
us what's going
people are
on.
excited about the Suns, the new chapter, the new head coach, Jordan Ott. It's his first head coaching opportunity. And, he comes from a long list of assistants under Mike Budenholzer that have become head coaches. And the cool thing about him is he's paid his dues. I mean, he started as a video coordinator in 2013 with the Atlanta Hawks. This past season, he was a top assistant with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the team with the best record in basketball. So it's funny, these video game coordinators or the video coordinators turn out to be good head coaches. Eric Spoelstra with Miami has done a great job. And then, of course, Dave Griffin started with the Suns in the same capacity and helped the Cavaliers win their first ever NBA title. So this could be a good hire. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. He's 40, and he's young and energetic, and it's a time to turn the page and see what these new guys can do for the Phoenix Suns.
Now, how are you going to cover it today on YouTube? What's the game plan?
Yeah, we will be out there for the press conference. We'll be at 3 o'clock. We'll get there early. We'll be live streaming on YouTube. Megan Champagne Plain and myself will be out there. We'll be talking about, the possibilities because, now they got to make changes to the roster. They got the NBA draft coming up. So it's smart to get your head coach in place and make sure you're aligned with what you guys want to do moving forward, like who you want to draft and who you want to trade and who you want to bring in and so on and so forth.
What type of guy is he? Is he a family guy? Is he what type of priorities does he make when it comes to, building his team? What do we know about him?
Excellent question, Celeste. He's a gym rat. He's a guy that will not be outworked, is what a lot of people say. He's a guy, like I said, that has paid his dues, worked up the ranks, that can relate to different type of players. He can relate to the superstar. He can relate to the super duper star. He can relate to the kid that's just trying to make the team. He can relate to the role player. He's good at scheming on both offense and defense. He's very well rounded, and he's done a lot with a lot of different players and a lot of different teams and a lot of different head coaches that have had success. So he's a guy that definitely has waited patiently and has gotten this opportunity, and he's looking to make the most out of it. And one thing they say is the energy will be there from this guy. He's very energetic, and that's what they wanted, a younger guy that could relate to these younger players.
Well, and they need a new look, and this is a great way to get it started. Richard, we can't have you on without talking a little football. Let me just pop up for you here the Cardinals' schedule, first 6 games, and let's talk about the games that you think are going to be winnable for them. So they, as always, start on the road against the Saints in New Orleans. What's your takeaway from that first game?
You know, when we look at these first 6 games as a whole, these are games that could be had for the Arizona Cardinals, for the simple fact that when you look at each team, with the exception of the 49ers, even the Carolina Panthers and the Saints, it's going to be a young quarterback. You know, it could be a rookie and Tyler Shuck starting, or Spencer Rattler, the local kid who's also young. And then your home opener, Carolina, is Bryce Young, another young quarterback that you could get to. Now, the 49ers obviously have a lot of talent. Brock Purdy is a legitimate quarterback, and he finally got his bag, right? He finally got paid, but you don't know how healthy they are. When healthy, I think the 49ers are the best team in the division. But last year they were just riddled with injuries, so it could be good to get them early before they get their legs underneath them. You know, and then when you look at the second half of these first 6 games, Sam Darnold, I mean, I don't know. Is he really that guy? If he was that guy, he would still be in Minnesota. You know, Geno Smith was the guy that seemed to beat the Cardinals quite a bit, so it's kind of good that he's gone.
That one really didn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah. I mean, you trade away Geno Smith for Sam Darnold. that one, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely wasn't an improvement, if you ask me. Yeah. I just know Darnold was expendable because of McCarthy over there in Minnesota. But then you look at Tennessee, Cam Ward, the number 1 pick, a rookie. Anthony Richardson with the Colts, he's still not a guy that's really established himself as a major NFL quarterback. So those are some games that you know they could win here. I can see them going 4-2. You know, maybe even better than that, coming out of the gate strong. But you got to beat the teams in your division, at least Seattle, especially after getting swept by them last year.
Celeste, I was going to ask him to go on the record and what he felt like those first 6. A 4-2. That would be I think that would be a solid start.
I think so too. And I'm still waiting for Larry Fitzgerald to come back. So we'll have to see.
Right.
We still haven't heard anything
Keep holding
from
on
him.
to hope, Celeste. Richard, thank you, buddy. And we'll be watching this afternoon on
buddy.
YouTube.
You're welcome. Hey, Celeste, I'll call Larry tonight and say, hey, Celeste wants you back.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, brother.
I think he's just been waiting for one nice, friendly invitation, Celeste.
I mean, you know, and it make it public, and maybe he'll say yes. You never know. Sure.
Hey, look who joins us.
Hello, Ty Brennan.
Good morning, you two.
He's kind of Mr. Everything on the morning show. He can do some weather. He can do lots of news.
Yesterday.
But if there's aviation-related news, I'm going to just take these off because Ty's sitting right here, right? It's not like we got to make a phone call to get Ty to join us.
Yeah, when we do Zoom, we got to use
this story is one of the craziest I have ever heard of a plane load full of people coming in on final approach to, I think it was Condor Airline. They fly out of Sky Harbor.
Sky Harbor, yeah.
And they were getting ready to land at an airport in Germany, and they were 10 seconds late, and they were refused landing.
Mm-hmm.
How? Because they were 10 seconds after midnight.
Yeah.
How is this possible?
I did a little research actually after you talked about this. So a lot of these airports have these curfews set in place, and it's all basically for noise ordinance, to be good neighbors for these folks.
Okay.
A big one, I looked, the number 1 airport that has all of these noise restrictions is in Naples, Florida, actually.
Okay.
But if you've flown in or out of Santa Ana John Wayne Airport, I don't know if you've ever taken off from there, but it's like a very aggressive takeoff.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's all of these kind of noise abatements around that area, so they try and take off real quick.
Okay.
And then as soon as you get kind of airborne, you hear the plane drastically, a power reduction that the pilot does, just so that they kind of mitigate the noise for those folks that live right on the water.
Well, I understand being good neighbors, but so here these folks are.
Ron is not convinced.
221 of them are on this flight, and one guy actually said, a passenger, Daniel Scheringer, in the German publication Bild, says, we could see the runway. The landing gear was down, and all of a sudden the pilot took off. It was 10 seconds late. But now these folks are completely inconvenienced. They'd already been flying in from Mallorca. And they had this midnight curfew, so they didn't get there in time, and they had to go land, somewhere else, I think to another airport. And the whole,
jump on a bus probably.
I think
and then be bussed
they
in.
said it was an 8-hour ordeal over 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
Well,
There's
some of these,
probably a fine related,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure
and
there
so then the
is.
company has to pay a fine
Yes.
if they land
Right.
late.
Right.
and I was looking too, like some of these, they said that they're very strict. They're only going to allow a plane to land in an extreme emergency situation. So a lot
Okay.
of these airports really take these curfews very seriously because I'm sure there's probably a lot of fees and other kind of things.
Where
that are
was this
associated
again,
with
Ron?
this.
That was in Munich.
Germany.
So
They don't have a State Farm there. They're not good neighbors, apparently. That is not happening in Munich,
we
Germany.
are not like a good neighbor. One more story here. We all have been laughing about this, Ty, because this is a DoorDash driver who somehow ends up on the tarmac out at O'Hare.
Well,
Hello, O'Hare.
did one of the tarmac workers order DoorDash? Do we know that?
I think he was just trying to get it to somebody in Terminal 5. And so I don't know if you've ever had like one of these map apps. I don't want to call any individual ones out, but once or twice it's like misdirected me.
Yes.
But the guy's got to know you're driving around. There's big 747s taking off.
How did they get out? Usually
That's what I wanna
airports are
know.
fenced in. Like Sky Harbor, there's a fence. If you want to get in,
Right.
you got to jump the fence.
Yeah.
Well, there's very high security around these airports, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering
Not
if,
O'Hare.
Not O'Hare. I wonder if he was like, "Hey, I just got to deliver," and they're like, "Oh yeah, go right ahead." Like,
Sure.
was it that easy?
Right. What do you got for me?
What is it?
I'll take a couple fries.
Yeah, you
Maybe
paid him
he
off
gave,
with a curly fry.
Maybe he gave him some. Yeah.
It
It's
is
just
a wild
unbelievable.
story.
Anyway, I can't wait to. Apparently, there was a guard who observed it, and he said his radio wasn't working, so he couldn't call it in as a violation.
This is like one
I
of the
don't know.
largest airports in the country.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Crazy. Well, we
Those
hope
are some
somebody
good
got
stories.
fed, right?
We
Yeah.
hope somebody got a
Yeah.
good tip.
All right,
Poor
Ty.
guy.
What's coming up here in about 3 minutes?
Well, we keep talking about all of the heat. It has been so hot, and it's only going to get hotter, especially as we head to the weekend. And unfortunately, there was some mountain rescues yesterday. So we actually have someone from the Phoenix Fire Department here to talk about those rescues yesterday, what they do in these types of situations, how it's not just dangerous for the folks that decide to go hiking when it's super hot, but it's also dangerous for these firefighters that head up there.
It is.
We also have a doctor, Dr. Natasha Bouillon. We love her. She's coming on to our show before. She's going to talk about those measles cases that were just popped up in Navajo County. We're also going to talk about West Nile virus. So we've got you covered here this morning. So if you've got some questions in the chat you want to talk to Dr. Bouillon about, you can ask those, and then we'll got a lot going on.
okay, it's coming
That's
up
good stuff.
on YouTube after the break.
We'll see you
Have
soon.
a great day.
All right, welcome on in to Fox 10 Talks at 11 o'clock with Ty and Anita. And we're starting with this. This was the scene yesterday afternoon when Phoenix Fire had to rescue 2 individuals off one of our most popular hiking trails. This was the Cholla Trail at Camelback Mountain yesterday. And 2 individuals, I believe it started that they had to be, I misspoke. I said Cholla, it was the Echo Canyon Trail. For reports of a hiker in distress. While en route, they were also notified of 3 hikers who needed help. 3 of them were rescued by helicopter. The other had to be brought down by a stretcher. One woman had to be put into an ice bath to actually bring her core temperature down as quickly as possible. The first responders were also treated by medical staff following the rescue just to make sure that they were okay. And unfortunately, this is a scene that we see play out on our valley trails all too often.
Especially when it's hot out and those temperatures start creeping up. Captain Todd Keller with Phoenix Fire joining us. You guys were out there.
Yes.
Take us through the situation, what the temp was like, what was going on.
So our firefighters were dispatched, just like he was saying, to Echo Canyon at Camelback Mountain. And as they got on scene, one rescue turned into 3 additional rescues.
And they weren't together. These are different groups of people.
Well, it actually was a group of women.
Okay.
Is that we did find that they were from out of town. As they were taking them off the trail, they found the additional 3. Our technical rescue teams from Tempe and Scottsdale and Phoenix did an absolutely fabulous job. It's a big deal. It's probably maybe close to 15 to 20 firefighters per person, so you can imagine how many people it's going to be for 4 people. They used Phoenix PD helicopter, the patrol ship, to fly a couple of these patients down. One was transported in extremely critical condition.
The heat can be dangerous, but it can be deadly, and that's what people don't realize. I was just out there on one of the trails, and I consider myself to be fairly fit. I work out daily. I practice hot yoga, so we're in that room with that situation. But depending on how much you ate, how much you drank, what your surroundings were, how much you slept, I wouldn't do it because I would be afraid.
Yes, one thing you just said is so imperative, and you do understand, is hydration. You drink your water before your yoga and stuff like this. One thing we can always recommend is that please hydrate, before, during, and after your hike. If you know that you're going to go hike the next day, please hydrate the night before. Our firefighters do the exact same thing before our shifts because we know that we may be going on 2 or 3 mountain rescues, medical calls, possible house fire, car accident. So you said it, hydration is key.
Captain Keller, can you talk about the need for that one woman to actually have her core body temperature brought down? Can you talk about kind of what goes into that?
Yes, so that's a great thing that we've implemented.
And first of all, let me back up. How do you know that she needs that done?
So what you're talking about is our cold water immersion bags, and a couple parameters that we go by is altered level of consciousness. Sometimes they are kind of out of consciousness, or they are kind of sleeping, what we call altered, and temperature of 104 degrees.
Wow.
So we will put them in these cold water immersion bags, and they will cool their body temperature down the quickest and rapid way to get their core temperature down to that 102. After we do hit that 102, we will take them out of that bag. It is absolutely so imperative that we get these individuals in these ice baths as quickly
We've
as we
been
can.
out there. I've been out there with you guys. I know Ty has on multiple rescues. This is really the first time I'm hearing about this.
So we've done these cold water immersion bags. One thing I can tell you that we are doing additionally now is that at the Echo Canyon and at Payastawa is that they are having these ready ice freezers. So we have bags there so we can load that ice in there and get these patients in there.
Have you ever seen someone with a temperature over 104, and what kind of starts to happen to the body when it gets kind of overheated that bad?
So I've seen 107. I've seen 108. At that point, I mean, it is
hiking.
Hiking. We've seen some of our vagrancy population. I can tell you that at 104, you're starting to get to that heat stroke. Sometimes it's irreversible, but we're seeing with these cold water immersion bags that they are definitely making a change.
I know you guys train for this probably daily, especially in the summertime, but sometimes I think what we overlook is, yes, the hikers need to be rescued. This is dangerous for the hikers. This is also dangerous for the firefighters, which again, if it's too hot for the firefighters to be out there, then don't go hiking. But you guys are just as susceptible to the heat.
Yes, absolutely. Like I was telling you, I was saying that when we are preparing the night before, we're hydrating ourselves and getting ready for the day. When you are out there hiking, one thing that we recommend is that please hike at the cooler parts of the day, because if you go out there and you get in trouble, you're not only putting yourself at risk, you're putting our firefighters, our first responders, our park rangers at risk also.
All right. Well, we do appreciate all your time
thank you.
and your expertise here this morning. I don't know if you heard, our next guest is ready to move in here. So we're going to switch gears. Again, thank you for your time
Absolutely.
this morning.
Thank you
and
for
thanks for all
having
that
us.
you do. We appreciate
Absolutely.
you keeping
Be
us
safe.
safe day in and day out. And some good tips
you.
there as well.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about this, you guys, because look at this. Look how exciting this is. The Arizona Humane Society posted this yesterday. They hit a record 231 adoptions in just one day. So that is a new record for AHS. So joining us this morning is Joe with AHS. Congratulations. That's
Thank
a
you.
huge
Wait,
deal.
excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Oreo.
The star of the show.
Star.
We have to
My
go
goodness,
first.
Oreo's waking up. Hello, baby.
Look at that face. Oh,
Baby.
So cute.
Oh
he
my
is
gosh.
cute.
Okay, sorry. Now we can talk about the important things, adoptions.
Yes. So over the
is 5
weekend,
minutes.
in one day on Saturday, 231 pets, just like Oreo, were adopted from the Arizona Humane Society, which absolutely shattered our previous record of about 186, I think. So
Wow.
just blew that record out of the water.
What do we think led to that?
Well, we did an adoption special, so we had more than 2,000 pets in our care over as we led into the weekend, and we knew we wanted to do an adoption special, so we figured we'd do a one-day adoption special and just have all pets included: puppies, kittens, older dogs, older cats, everyone involved. It turned out to be an amazing success. Everyone came out. All of the pets in our care were adopted that were available for the most part. Now we have still about 1,800 pets in our care. That's a mix between foster and in our trauma hospital, and now coming out to the adoption floor.
And Joe,
So-
that's what I was going to ask you. What does this mean when you guys are able to kind of adopt such a big chunk? Like, oh, she's going to eat your IFB. You better get that. He's going to.
you go.
You're never going to be able to hear again out of that thing.
You want to hold him?
I do. Hold on. You know,
Pass the puppy.
Yeah, pass
He's
the puppy.
very heavy.
Yeah, he is
what a little
a chunky boy.
He's a chunky monkey. Is he just not the
He's
cutest little
9 weeks old and
Oh
about
my
11
goodness.
pounds.
He's going to be
so-
a big
yeah,
boy. Big boy.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Anyway.
Whenever
I
there's a
know.
puppy,
We're
we
always
are
very
like out of
distracted.
control.
When
That's
you
okay.
adopt
Oh,
out
yeah, get it.
231 dogs in one
Yeah.
day, that means you're opening space for 231 more.
Exactly, absolutely. So every time we can adopt out a pet, it opens a kennel so that we can bring more pets in. We're projecting to have over 24,000 pets come through our doors this year. So every adoption frees up space quicker for more pets to come in.
Is that more than usual?
So it's increasing every year. Unfortunately, last year was over 22,000, and we're on track for over 24 this year.
Wow. Let's talk about that kind of special you ran. Was that kind of the first time that you guys have done something like that, where you're like, let's just try and empty the shelter and get these guys and girls into some good, loving homes?
No, actually. So we do them fairly often.
Okay.
They're usually dependent on our capacity issues and how much space we need to free up. But we also have amazing partners like Bissell. Bissell Pet Foundation runs adoption specials through us very regularly throughout the year. So it's definitely a more common occurrence. But I would say not always is it every single pet in our care that has waived adoption fees.
It's like all the stars aligned, and it
Right.
was just
Yeah.
time. It was time to make a little bit of room. What does it take to adopt?
It's really easy. Come into any of our locations. You can check online first at azhumane.org/adopt and see who we have available. You might see somebody you like, or you might just want to come in and take a look around, but adoptions are first come, first serve. So head on into any of our campus locations, Sunny Slope, Papago Park, or South Mountain, and meet and greet with whatever pet catches your eye, and you can adopt and be out of there same day with a new furry friend.
I want to show this, though, because this is pretty cool that you guys have going on as well. And this is so important, I think, because
Yes.
you guys are offering a really good deal for microchips for the pups.
Absolutely. It's super important, especially this time of year. It's actually why we're running this special. 4th of July is the leading day for pets
Yes,
to go
that's
missing.
right around the corner.
Yes. And so we thought, what better way to get people to microchip their pets leading into 4th of July than doing a special on it. So for $10, you can microchip your pet at our AHS locations. And it's super important because 1 in 3 pets are expected to go missing in their lifetime. So
We
that's-
cover that. We're at the shelter every July.
Yes. It's,
We're at the
It is-
shelter every July 5th.
It is
and we
bound
are-
to happen.
Yeah.
So please microchip your pets. It's the easiest and fastest way to get them back when they go missing.
Oh, he's look at him. Look at
You're
him.
so
Look at him.
cute. Tell us about Oreo. He's all
So
obviously up for adoption.
Obviously up for adoption.
my turn.
9-week-old pit bull. Pass the puppy back.
Pass the puppy.
Oreo is a 9-week-old pit bull puppy. He came in with his family, actually, so a mom and his 3 siblings.
so fat.
Yes, he is like twice the size of his siblings, so he definitely stole a lot of mom's milk growing up.
Look at that face,
But they
though. Come on.
just got spayed and neutered a couple days ago, and he and his 2 siblings are up for adoption. So all 3 of them available at our Papago Park
If you
campus.
can't adopt, there are other ways to help.
Yes, absolutely. We have foster always. We're in desperate need of fosters all the time. You can also volunteer at any of our campus locations. You can donate if none of those work for you, but there's so many ways to get involved. So there's something for everyone.
Joe, how many dogs do you have?
I have 1 at home.
Okay,
Are
you
you
must
a
have.
foster fail?
No, actually, but he is from the Arizona Humane Society, and I just got him like 3 weeks
Oh,
ago.
you did?
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It took
Yeah.
that long?
I know, it was kind of crazy. I was in an apartment for a long time.
Now
Not
you're-
anymore.
yeah.
Immediately got a dog.
Congratulations.
I was going to
Thank you.
say, having your job, I'd be like, oh,
I
I guess
know.
I'll have to have another.
know.
The
and
good news
another,
is I
and
get to
another.
spend all day with
Yeah.
puppies, so I don't need to take them home. I can keep them at work. So I adopted a
is true.
2-year-old, and he's perfect.
I've given up. I've given
Oh,
up
yeah.
trying to let. I've given up trying to control Oreo, and I'm just going to let him do his thing. Oh my God! I'm really just impressed with that. 231 dogs
In one day.
In one day.
33 pets an hour.
That's
That's what it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 33
Were you guys
adoptions
kind of
an
watching
hour.
as this was happening, being like, wow, this is going really well?
I think everybody was maybe a little bit so busy that we didn't even quite realize. And obviously, with the adoption split amongst 3 campuses, you don't necessarily
yeah.
know how the other
Sure.
ones are doing.
Yeah.
But then when you check the numbers at the end of the day, it was just like, wow, everybody was busy.
Joe, we have about a minute left. When is kind of, I know you guys are always busy, but is there kind of a season when you guys get a little bit busier? I know that there's always like kitten season, which is kind of
Yes.
around the spring, which is kind of right about
Yeah,
now.
so spring into summer is usually the craziest time for us. It's our highest impact season, so when most pets come through our door, and that's because kitten season is happening.
Gotcha.
So we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kittens coming in. If you want to foster kittens, they're absolutely adorable, and we need more fosters. So
Anita, I think you might need to take Oreo.
Oreo here.
I think Oreo might have chosen you.
Yeah.
He is a sweet boy.
Oh, he
Congratulations. We're really
Thank you.
I know Fox 10 viewers are so wonderful when we do adoption segments.
Absolutely.
They always head out. So now the Fox 10 Talks folks can head out too. Come give Oreo a home. Because you a rascal.
He is a
you
little
rascal. You a little rascal. You a rascal.
All right, Joe, well, thank you so much. Oh, here we go. All right. Welcome back, everybody. One of our favorite guests, Dr. Natasha Bouillon,
Thank you for having
here.
me.
Last time you were here, we got such an overwhelming
wow,
response
yeah.
of questions. So we were like, we got to bring you on again because I think it's so helpful. But I wanted to start with this because we actually have some kind of health-related news. Unfortunately, we just found out that we do have some cases of measles that popped up. I know we were tracking this kind of in the West Texas area.
Right.
El Paso.
And, that area. And now it's kind of moved, unfortunately, and we have our first couple of cases up in Navajo County.
We do, yeah. And it was almost about time to happen because we have so many cases of measles across the U.S. We're seeing it in Texas, and so it was bound to happen in Arizona. Now, the cases in Arizona, it's 4 people that are infected in Navajo County, and it looks like they have a history of international travel. And so they were potentially exposed around May 17th through May 28th. Now, what public health officials are trying to figure out is where have these folks been? And what I want to know is were they at Sky Harbor Airport? What flight were they on? Did they eat at a restaurant? And all of that is so important to know because measles is so contagious.
Let me take you back if you don't mind. Most people are vaccinated for measles as babies.
Yes.
And that stays with you. You need one vaccine. Or has that changed? Are the measles of today different of the measles of 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago?
It hasn't changed as much. So actually, I get this question all the time. People who've gotten immunized against measles, they have lifelong immunity. Okay. Now, there is one caveat to that. It's people who were immunized between 1963 to 1967, they do need a booster. And the reason why is those folks, they did not get a live vaccine. So around that time, they didn't have live vaccines. Those folks didn't get a live vaccine. And so because of that, they aren't immune. And so I do have patients in that age group that we do give boosters to. But most everybody else, if they've gotten a vaccine, they are immune.
What if you don't know? What if you're like,
Yeah, I don't know what my record is. I can't find it.
Is it going to be bad if you get it again?
It's not bad if you get it again. So if you don't know, we can actually
The
check blood
vaccine,
titers.
not the actual measles.
Oh, yeah. No, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Get the vaccine.
Yeah. So if you're not sure, there's a couple things we can do. Number one, we can check titers, and insurance often doesn't cover that, so people have to pay out of pocket for that.
You can
So
check what?
your blood titers. So we can do a blood draw and see what is your titer level against measles.
Oh,
And
I
so
didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's one thing I do.
So how
for a
much
lot
does
of
something
people.
like that cost if people are watching at home and wondering?
It's usually around like less than $100, so it's not too expensive. So we can check blood titers and make sure that people are immune. Another thing is some people are like, I don't want to get my blood drawn. It's just kind of a pain. Just give me a booster. And so for those folks, we can give them a booster. It's not dangerous to get a booster, but we have to also be aware that there are people who are immunized that still don't have full immunity. People who have a weakened immune system, if you've got cancer, other conditions. And so those folks, they're not immune. And then anyone under the age of 12 months doesn't get the vaccine. They can't get the vaccine. And so if those folks are babies are traveling around, they get exposed as well. And what we know about people who are exposed, if you're unvaccinated and exposed to measles, there's a 90% chance that you actually get measles.
Wow.
It's
90%
it's
chance.
very, very
So
contagious.
what happens when you get the measles?
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
and
say,
really
what are
quick,
some
Lil
symptoms?
Philosophy says, I don't even know if I've ever gotten the measles vaccine. So that information was perfect for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Lil Philosophy because
you can check your titer or just get the booster.
Yeah.
So if you are exposed and you're unvaccinated, so in these cases, the public health officials, they're going to do some contact tracing. They're going to figure out where they were, and then you'll know, was I in Sky Harbor at the same time as these folks? If you are unvaccinated, we do tell people to quarantine for 21 days. And so that's avoiding other people. It's because the measles incubation period is really long. So you could be exposed to somebody with measles, you might be unvaccinated, and you don't develop symptoms for a week or two.
Is it ever where you won't develop symptoms? Or will you always, if you've been exposed and you have it, will you always have some type of symptom?
If you've been exposed and you're unvaccinated, you will have symptoms. But if you've been exposed and you're unvaccinated, you get symptoms. But if you are vaccinated, you're well protected. And so I think that's the biggest thing is if you have a vaccine and you are exposed, generally the vaccine is 97% effective. And so you don't have to worry.
Let's talk about what are some of those symptoms that you should be looking out for, especially if you maybe have someone in your family that's unvaccinated or young children.
Exactly, yeah. So a couple of symptoms are people get high fevers. So it's not just a fever of 100 or 101. Generally, we see fevers over 103 degrees.
And that's dangerous, right?
That
We
is
were talking
dangerous.
to the fire captain.
Exactly. So we don't want fevers that high. The other thing is some of the symptoms are vague. So people will get red eyes, runny nose, and a cough.
like
So-
a pink eye looking?
Yeah, it almost looks
Okay.
like pink eye. And so
Okay.
people generally, they're like, oh, I have a high fever. Do I have pink eye? I have a runny nose. Is it a URI, respiratory virus? And then the rash appears. That rash is pretty classic. So the rash starts on your head. and it spreads to the rest of your body. That's different than a lot of other viral rashes. So when people have a typical cold virus and they get a rash, generally starts on their trunk, on their body, and then spreads. So if you see a rash on the head spreading down, definitely concerning for measles. I think definitely reach out to your doctor. You can get testing.
Is it painful?
Testing?
No, the
rash. It's not painful.
See how we think so differently.
It's not painful. And a lot of people who get measles, quite frankly, they do recover. So many people will get the rash, they'll get these symptoms, and they recover. The problem is a small subset of people who get measles get really, really severe complications. Brain swelling, pneumonia, deafness. We certainly worry young children, older adults who get measles, and then pregnant women. It can be fatal to the fetus. And so those are groups of people that we worry about. Now, the good news is if people are exposed, so for example, these folks, if their family members are exposed and they're unvaccinated, they can get the vaccine within 3 days of exposure. And we find that that is effective.
Sherry Nevada Pup is asking, at what age did they give the vaccine back in the 60s? I have had vaccines and I have had the measles.
Okay, so if someone's had the measles, they generally have lifelong immunity.
But she's, okay, so she, I guess what she's asking is she doesn't think she had that vaccine.
Yeah, so what we generally say is if someone was born before 1957, they're immune, whether or not they've had the vaccine or not.
Really?
Because so many people got measles at the time, there was kind of just that herd immunity. So we also tell people if you're born between 1957, you're just presumed to be immune because measles was so common at that time.
But measles was basically eradicated. So why are we seeing this happening again?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 2 decades ago, we said measles was gone from the US, and that was thanks to vaccines. The reason we're seeing a resurgence is because people are not getting vaccinated. So we generally say to see herd immunity.
So gone from the U.S., but maybe not gone from another country.
Exactly. Yeah. So, generally for herd immunity, we need to have 96% of people immunized. And what we're seeing in kindergartners now is there's like 91 to 93% of kindergartners immunized. Now, it doesn't seem like a big difference. Like the goal is 96, we're at 93, but that 3% makes a huge difference. And we see those outbreaks in under-immunized people. And then you also know all of the people that don't have a strong immune system. And so, I just think there's a lot of misinformation about vaccines, but in particular, this measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, it's safe, it's effective, and it saves lives.
And that's been around for so long.
It's been around for so long.
There's a lot of information, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of research into that particular
on the
vaccine.
safety. We know it.
Yeah. Real quick, doctor, someone's asking, during incubation, can it spread?
You can be contagious. Yes, that's the thing that's so hard is that you could have no symptoms at all. You might be exposed. You're living your life. You're going to the store, and you can be contagious.
How long is that period of time?
Incubation period can be 21 days.
It can be, okay.
And
that's
why you're saying.
And the other thing is that measles, it can linger in the air for 2 hours after someone leaves a room. So if you eat at a restaurant, so if you eat at a restaurant with somebody who has measles, they might leave the restaurant. They don't know they have it. It's lingering in the air for 2 hours. It can spread 100 feet. So you think about things like flu and COVID, it's far more contagious than flu and COVID. It's so contagious, which is why we want people to be vaccinated.
All right. Good
Very
information
interesting.
Here. All right, let's move on to our next topic because we were just talking about West Nile virus.
Yeah.
Daniel Miller was on a couple stories this morning talking about how now we've had some positive cases here in Maricopa County. Now, we always see these cases every summer.
We tend to see a couple every summer.
But let's talk about kind of what West Nile is and the best ways to avoid it.
Yeah, so West Nile season, it is here. So we know West Nile season goes between June and October.
Can I just tell you, I don't know if it's the dog or talking about measles, and I'm itching.
Do I have
I'm like, oh no.
I have two. My entire neck is. I'm going to go with dog. I'm going to go with dog.
We don't have
been to
measles.
Sky
I'm
Harbor.
not worried. Yeah.
But not that it's at Sky Harbor.
We just need to do contact tracing.
That was an example.
Yes, example. But so with West Nile, so we know that it happens every year, and we know that it's the good thing is that West Nile does not transmit from person to person. So people generally get it from mosquitoes.
Yes.
And what happens is mosquitoes, they are just a breeding ground for West Nile. And we know that we've had our public health officials, they actually test mosquitoes, and it looks like they test and trap them, and 11 different traps have tested positive. So there's no human cases yet. We know it's coming.
Gotcha.
And so West Nile, what it is a virus, and the symptoms of that, it tends to be things like fevers, headaches, people are feeling fatigued, not really respiratory at all. And again, a lot of people who get West Nile, they do recover from it. Sometimes they don't even know they have it.
Really?
But there's a subset of people who get West Nile, and it can affect the neurological system, and they can end up getting brain swelling and even paralysis. And there's actually been cases of death with West Nile as well.
Okay.
And so we always say the best thing to do is prevent yourself from getting it in the first place.
And that means bug spray. But that brings me to my next point because we hear so many horrible things about chemicals
in your
DEET?
body.
Yeah. So there is a safe.
Is it kind of like a?
It's the right balance.
Okay.
So we always say with DEET, you want to have the right percentage of DEET. And honestly, there's more ways to protect yourselves from West Nile than just bug spray. So actually, the biggest way to protect ourselves in our own, homes and backyards is removing standing water.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, it's just removing all the standing water. So whenever there's a rainfall, your kids' toys are out there, cups and whatnot. Get rid of all that standing water, and then the mosquitoes, they won't come and breed. Yeah, go ahead.
I did a story one time, and what blew my mind, they said like a bottle cap,
Yes.
that much water can be a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
Yes. Yeah.
Which blew my mind.
It's all of the little standing water. And then even people have these screen doors that they've got holes in them.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are flying into your house. And so making sure that your doors are shut, your screens don't have holes in them. And then also just making sure that mosquitoes are most active at dawn and dusk. And so if you are out at dawn and dusk, wearing long sleeve clothes, if you don't want to wear bug spray, and then wearing bug spray is another preventative
Little
method.
Philosophy says mosquitoes love to bite me a lot, and I agree. If there's a mosquito in the room, it will find me and it will bite me.
It's attracted
is
to
that a
sweet
thing?
blood.
Is that a thing?
I don't know if
Is
that's
that a
actually
thing?
truly a thing. It might be attracted to sweet blood. I also say another thing to use is citronella candles. So it's more natural. It's more of a natural way to make sure mosquitoes aren't around. But look, just because you get bitten by a mosquito, it does not mean
Don't
you have West
panic.
Nile.
Right, right.
It's generally if you get bit by a mosquito and then later you feel like you have symptoms or fevers or headaches, then you should see a doctor.
Let me ask you, just kind of thinking about, we had the fire department on talking about the heat rescues. It's getting hot, and you sat down and said, people do not realize how dangerous, potentially deadly this heat can be.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we are in the season of a lot of people who grew up in Arizona. We just think,
We're
it's
fine.
hot,
Yeah,
stay
we're
hydrated. But people don't realize the toll that heat takes on your body, even when you're not even outside, because we still have to transport in the car. We still have to go out and about. There was actually a study that came out that the heat ages us, biologically.
Yes,
We
did that
talked
story.
about that.
Yeah.
More than smoking does.
More than smoking, the impact on our skin, even the impact on our cognition. I have patients that say in the summertime, I'm just not as quick. I'm not as good at work. And
you
it's
feel
true.
sluggish.
Yeah, you feel sluggish. Yeah.
So, I mean, aside from drinking water and hydrating and finding the shade, is there anything you can do? Are there
got
vitamins?
about a minute left.
Vitamins, anything like
I mean,
that?
honestly, water is the
Water.
best antidote. There isn't really any vitamins. I think the other thing, just being mindful. So being mindful of, children, older adults, they don't regulate their body temperature as well. So if you're in a group and you feel fine, other people in the group might not be feeling fine, and they might not even know it. And so I think just vigilance is the most important thing.
All right, Dr. Bouillon, tell us where you're at.
I'm at One Medical, so you can find me on onemedical.com, and I'm always happy to answer any other questions.
Okay,
we
we'll see you a
appreciate
month
it.
from now.
All right,
Yeah,
stay
this
safe.
is our favorite. We love when you come in because you're such a wealth of knowledge. We can throw any topic at you, and you're here for us. So I
Thank you.
appreciate
Stay
that,
safe.
Dr. Bouillon.
Thanks.
All right, we're not gonna take a break. We're gonna actually go. We're done
We'll
for the
be back
day.
tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow, though. Look, I just have so much fun. We just want to keep on going.